Seriously, why is Roger in Call of Duty?
I don't know what's been up with Call of Duty adding these brat behind characters.
I wasn't sure if they were gonna make her thick.
Absolute filth, garbage, nonsense.
Call of Duty's adding more cartoon skins to ruin the game.
And it completely breaks the immersion. It doesn't really look anything like that core identity of Black Ops 6.
Today, it feels like pop culture tie-ins are everywhere in gaming. Characters going to visit other franchises, skins used to promote movies and television shows, Louis Vuitton selling League of Legends handbags. Worlds colliding in strange and bizarre ways have become a regular part of modern gaming. But why did Thanos take over Fortnite? Why is Genshin Impact collaborating with KFC? And seriously, why is Roger in Call of Duty? To start to unravel this complicated question, we have to go back in time. Through the 2010s and the explosion of Fortnite, through the 2000s with Kingdom Hearts and Super Smash Bros, even through the 90s with Marvel vs. Capcom. Our story truly begins in the 1980s. Big hair, denim jackets, rock and roll. Ronald Reagan just won the presidency and has started implementing this new thing called trickle-down economics. According to Ron, if the top 1% is allowed to make as much money as they want, their wealth will eventually trickle down to the lowly 99% and everyone will get richer. Apparently, this sounded like a great idea to everyone, so companies started producing more and more. Consumerism was on the rise, and brands were finding new ways to advertise their products. One way which has stuck around is through the clothes you wear. Throughout the 70s and 80s, band shirts were a popular symbol of devotion to the kind of music you listen to. Punks plastered vests with patches from bands like Misfits, Bad Brains, and Black Flag, and fashion was changing. No longer about who you are, but more about what you like. As the 80s progressed, graphic tees went from being plastered with bands to brands. Even TV shows and movies were becoming a fashion statement. TMNT, Ghostbusters, Jaws, you name it. Identity was becoming more and more tied to the media people consumed. This trend has continued on today. Think about some of the things people base their identities on today. Fancy coffees, country music, IPAs. Personalities tied to a thing are incredibly easy to sell to, not just in real life, but in gaming too. Cosmetics are incredibly important to gamers in almost every genre. Adding a bit of flair to your character is something people are willing to spend money on, and is a way to let other people know about your tastes and preferences. People are willing, eager even, to become a walking advertisement if it means having a sense of self. I am me because I like X, Y, and Z. 40 years on, it's no surprise that video game cosmetics have become what they are. Running around as a faceless soldier is fun, but if I'm a fan of, say, Family Guy or Futurama, you're damn right I'm gonna buy that Peter Griffin or Bender skin. It's like putting a graphic tee on the character I'm playing. It's a way to express myself and my interests to others. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Graphic tees were only one of the innovative ways advertisers in the 80s were reaching new audiences. The other was putting ads into the shows themselves, a marketing scheme called product placement. Let me give you an example. When I was writing this video, I had tons of ideas swirling around in my head. They'd be there when I was at work, when I was out and about, even when I was trying to fall asleep. I tried in vain to find some peace and quiet until I discovered Manta Sleep. That's right, this is the product placement portion of the video. Manta Sleep is unlike any sleep mask I've ever used before. It's fully adjustable, made of high quality material, and even has built-in headphones so you can play your favorite music or podcasts while you drift off to sleep. Manta Sleep's ProNap movement is so comfortable, I can use it anywhere to catch some much needed rest. If you want to take back your naps, head over to the Manta Sleep website and use our discount code AKSHON to get 10% off your purchase. Link in the description below. Okay, where were we? Product placement. From E.T. eating Reese's Pieces to Superman being thrown through a Marlboro truck, product placement became one of the hallmarks of 80s film and television. What's great about product placement is that it takes place inside the media being consumed. Television commercials or even trailers before a movie are easy to ignore. But if, say, a Pepsi bottle shows up in a character's hand in the middle of the scene, there's no way they're gonna miss it. Which brings us to video games. And I'm not just talking about Monster Energy in Death Stranding. I'm talking about a practice I'm sure you're all familiar with. In the 1990s, the first major video game crossover event happened when Capcom released X-Men vs. Street Fighter. The first entry in the now legendary Marvel vs. Capcom series was a stroke of marketing genius. Cyclops vs. Ryu, Gambit vs. Akuma, Wolverine vs. Chun-Li. Fans of Marvel comic books who maybe hadn't played a fighting game before were suddenly flocking to arcades just to play as their favorite characters. MVC quickly became one of the most popular fighting game franchises in the world and showed the power of potential crossover events. Over the next few years, other games like Super Smash Bros. And Kingdom Hearts followed a similar principle. Fans of Donkey Kong might have no interest in the Metroid series, but if both characters are in a fighting game together, both fandoms would be likely to buy the game. For Kingdom Hearts, similarly, American teens might not care about Final Fantasy, but throw Goofy and Mickey Mouse into the mix, and suddenly they have something they recognize. Players are willing to buy a game just to play as their favorite character, and crossover events went from a fun little novelty to a full-on marketing tool. Crossover events were kind of like product placement for games, having a guest character show up as a way to advertise to players without them knowing it. Take Soul Calibur for example. Way back in 2002, I saw this ad for Soul Calibur 2. At first, I thought, alright, cool, a fighting game. But then, this guy popped up on screen. I'd go to the local EB Games on weekends just to hop on the demo console and play a couple of games against whoever was there. 6 years later, Soul Calibur 4 did a similar collaboration with Star Wars characters, including Yoda and Darth Vader on their respective consoles. Once again, it worked like a charm. With the release of Revenge of the Sith, I went from hardly caring about the game to begging my mom to please buy it for me. Throwing in guest characters as a bonus was like putting a toy in a cereal box. Maybe people don't care about Honey Nut Cheerios, but the thought of reaching in and pulling out the Hero of Time was enough to make me buy it. So, if this was such a good marketing tool, why weren't guest characters more prevalent until recently? Well, it turns out buying one box of cereal every 6 years just for the toy isn't exactly a sustainable marketing practice. For a series like Soul Calibur, where each iteration takes a few years to develop, collaborating with brands like Star Wars could be both difficult and expensive. It costs money to license the IP, and often it's just not worth the effort. In her article, Children as Consumers, Advertising and Marketing, Sandra L. Calvert notes how, quote, traditional console gaming cannot be changed, making them an expensive venue for product placement. But online games, which can be updated frequently, are more suited for product placement. There it is. Online games. The rise of the internet is where things really start to take off. Starting around 2015, Hollywood started a push to bring back old movies, characters, and actors. Legends reprising roles 30 years later. Reboots of old Disney films as live-action abominations. It seemed that Hollywood was done taking risks, looking to create a formula for surefire box office hits. Unfortunately for all of us, their plan worked. The top grossing films from 2015 to 2020 were all franchises and reboots. Brand recognizability was significantly more effective and less risky than trying to tell new stories. The quality of the film didn't really matter as long as it had a name attached that people knew. A similar principle happened in video games. The name Call of Duty had been synonymous with FPS action for 20 years. Within the game, there was a strong desire for cosmetics. At first, Call of Duty tried creating their own skins, which did alright, but then they started bringing in characters from TV shows and movies, starting with some characters that made sense, and then getting crazier and crazier. And this, my friends, brings us to the question, why the hell is Roger in Call of Duty? On paper, you might think that Roger, like Link and Yoda, is a toy in a cereal box, a sweet little treat meant to draw in new players. But actually, it's kind of the opposite. Roger is like a Pepsi bottle, a trail of Reese's Pieces, an act of product placement meant to advertise American Dad to Call of Duty players. Think of it like this. Kids might spend several hours a day playing Warzone. During that time, they're not checking their phone, watching TV, or surfing the web. They're in this blank little bubble where advertisers can't reach them. That's where Roger comes in. Since American Dad can't plaster ads on billboards in Verdansk or run commercials during loading screens, the next best thing they can do to promote the show is put Roger in the game. Make him look a little silly. Give him some fun little finishers. Do whatever it takes to make people pay that $20 for him, and now every time you see him running around the map, you'll think about American Dad. Let's take a moment to scroll through the game's list of operators. We've got Master Splinter from TMNT, Rey Mysterio from WWE, Seth Rogan from Canada, and literally just 21 Savage. It sounds more like a kid's collection of action figures than a roster in a Call of Duty title. But most of these skins were released strategically to coincide with some sort of media ramp-up. This Beavis and Butthead bundle came out at the beginning of July, and was closely followed by a trailer announcing a new season for the show. The aptly named Dune Part 2 Paul Atreides bundle released in December of 2023, 2 months before the release of Dune Part 2. The American Dad bundle was announced in July 2025, just a few months after Fox announced they were renewing the show for 4 new seasons. This skin as fun as it is for players, is also an ad to try and generate hype for the show. Every time you knock Donatello, you're being advertised to. Every time you pick up a gun with a Cheech and Chong seltzer weapon charm, you're being advertised to. Every time you hit someone with the crossroads, well, you're being advertised to. The short answer for why Roger is in Call of Duty is it's easy marketing. People love crossovers. They'll pay money to become a walking ad for the show. It's effective, it reaches a lot of people, and it doesn't feel like an advertisement, even though it 100% is. But how do partnerships like this form? Who reaches out to who? Does Mario Balenciaga reach out to John Fortnite and ask them out to dinner? The answer is, well, kind of. The first major brand collaboration of the modern age was in 2018, when Thanos invaded Fortnite. At the time, many assumed that it was Fortnite trying to ride the coattails of the MCU, who were on a generational run with the Avengers franchise. But contrary to what you might believe, it wasn't Epic Games who begged Marvel for a chance to work together. In fact, Epic Games CCO Donald Mustard was resistant to putting any outside characters in Fortnite at all. It took Joe and Anthony Russo 6 hours to convince him that there was potential in brand collaboration, and when he finally relented, they made the Thanos event a reality. This was an example of creatives working together just for the heck of it. The Russos loved playing Fortnite, and Mustard loved the MCU. They'd probably have no other opportunity to work together, so they said screw it and teamed up, creating this incredibly fun and dynamic event inside Fortnite. It's a similar reason why games like Death Stranding have so many random cameos. People want to work with Kojima, or why Keanu Reeves is in Cyberpunk. Sometimes creatives just want to work together and see what happens. But not everyone does it for the artistry. As soon as the corporate side of the companies saw how popular the Thanos event was, things started getting out of hand. It was the watershed moment. The moment everyone looked at Fortnite and said, oh, that's how we can make money. And video games started collaborating with brands from all over the world. Louis Vuitton x League of Legends, Balenciaga x Fortnite. It's become so normal today that we hardly think about how crazy it is that you can put on your Minecraft x Burberry coat, slip on your Minecraft Crocs, walk over to buy the Minecraft meal at McDonald's, and then go home to unwind with your Minecraft x Lush bath bomb. Many of these collaborations are successful because they prey on people's fear of missing out. The Minecraft meal was only available for a few weeks. The Genshin Impact meal at KFC, which was supposed to give players access to an exclusive glider, only had 90 pins available per store, leading to people camping out for days and then throwing fits when they didn't get their reward. This approach, aptly called hunger marketing, is the driving force behind many brand collaborations. Let's go back to Fortnite for a minute. Many of the skins unlocked through the Battle Pass are no longer available. Ryu and Chun-Li, Darth Vader, if you didn't get them the first time around, you'll never get another chance. Preying on the collector mentality is exactly what both games and brands want. If a product is scarce, it drives up demand, making people justify the purchasing of a battle pass or a skin bundle because it might be their only chance to do so. Nowadays, collaboration is just another word for brand licensing. It doesn't cost all that much to license a brand. Most companies don't disclose how much they'd spend on these collaborations, but it's safe to say they're making money hand over fist. Every month a new Brawl Stars update comes out, and it's almost shocking when it doesn't have some sort of brand tie-in, like SpongeBob, Toy Story, or South Park. It feels like brand licensing is the de facto way to market your product. Real advertising is expensive and risky, but slapping a Ghostbusters Slimer skin on your Ghost in Destiny 2 doesn't cost much. Throwing Luffy and Naruto into Apex Legends? Pennies on the dollar. Whether it's driving a Mercedes-Benz in Mario Kart 8 or Crocs collaborating with Pokemon and Sonic, traditional marketing as we know it has gone out the window. The way it works now, at least for pop culture tie-ins, is that a skin bundle will get released, someone will make a clip of Roger assassinating Captain Price, and that clip will go viral on social media. Rinse and repeat, and your feed will be full of other similar clips, each one advertising a new skin for a new character that you maybe didn't know existed. Heck, some games are built around a pop culture tie-in. Marvel Rivals has been a breakout hit, and while the Marvel brand is much bigger than just its cinematic universe, the game's initial success was very likely thanks to the success of the film franchise. Marvel Rivals certainly had other assets that contributed to the game's success, but it does raise the question of whether another similar game, like Overwatch 2, could have been similarly successful if they worked with another popular IP instead of just reskinning the first game. In a similar vein, would Super Smash Bros. Have been as successful if it was made up entirely of original characters? Other games have tried and found some success, but it's clear that the main appeal of the game is to play as Nintendo characters you know and love. In already existing games, it helps when the base is neutral enough that the tie-in feels like it fits naturally. Fortnite is once again a good example of this. They've created this metaverse of characters spanning Eminem, Sabrina Carpenter, Jar Jar Binks, The Undertaker, and Peter Griffin, and the reason it works is because Fortnite never had a brand identity. It's cartoony and it's neutral. So pretty much any concept, be it a cyborg ninja, a pirate, or a rapper, fits the game's aesthetic. Dead by Daylight has similarly implemented its own crossovers in a tasteful way. Starting out as an homage to horror games, they started including some of the most iconic monsters and characters in horror genre history. Sure, it's a bit weird that Springtrap from Five Nights at Freddy's can take down Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil, but it doesn't feel too far-fetched. Plus, these new characters aren't purely cosmetic. They're fully fleshed out characters, with their own moves and abilities. While all of this is, at some level, just marketing, how it's integrated into the game matters a lot. More overt product placement, like Death Stranding's monster promotion, ends up feeling like a strange inclusion in a very handcrafted and meticulously made world. Maybe it's some sort of meta-ironic commentary on product placement in games? I don't know, Kojima's always doing some weird stuff. Likewise, Roger in Call of Duty went viral on social media, making both Fox and Activision happy, but players weren't so enthused. Many saw these kinds of cosmetics and tie-ins as a step too far, watering down the game's aesthetic and hurting the overall experience. While this was a commonly mentioned gripe, the recent negative reaction to the Black Ops 7 trailer actually prompted Activision to release a statement saying that they're committed to staying true to Call of Duty's roots, reversing a previously stated decision that operator and weapon skins would carry over into Black Ops 7. It seems like player outrage actually brought about some change for once and showed the importance of making our voices heard. Regardless, in the years since everything exploded back in 2018, it's been strange to look back at some of the crossover events that have happened. A Travis Scott concert in Fortnite, Master Chief in Rainbow Six Siege, Megatron in Overwatch. In a world where the media we consume becomes our identity, it's not wrong to like or participate in these crossovers, but it's also important to remember that at the end of the day, it is just someone trying to sell us something. We love nostalgia. We love the things we recognize. It's easy for brands and gamers alike to get excited over very surface-level collaborations. It's simple, it's risk-free, and it's the reason that Roger is in Call of Duty.